Hey folks, this is Leah. Thank you for joining me today. Today is the first in a series I wanted to start, which is going back to the storytelling roots of the channel and giving sort of a bit of levity to some of the kind of serious topics that we discuss, sort of interspersing the serious stuff with something a little lighter, a little bit funnier. What I'm going to try to do is about once per month when I upload the video, I'm going to try to upload a funny or wild story just to sort of provide a little bit of entertainment, a bit of a palate cleanser, as it were, for people who are watching a lot of the more serious stuff and who kind of need a break from that. So today I wanted to tell a story about a time when I was in the hospital, and that probably sounds like it's going to be a really, really sad story, but it's actually not at all a sad story. It's actually really hilarious. I want to just introduce a concept for people in case they're not familiar with a word, because I'm going to use this word in a pretty crucial way in this story. That word is Schadenfreude. And this is a German word, and it basically means glee at the misfortune of somebody else. It's not something that I feel often because I like most people and I want most people to have a good life and have good things happen to them and so on. I don't wish ill to a lot of people, but once in a while you get that one person who is just being such a dick. And if there's any through line, I hope that people have picked up from the content on this channel, it's like, I just wish people would not be a dick. Like, don't be a dick, right? Like, just don't be a dick. You don't have to be a dick. It's really easy to not be a dick, you know? This is one of the best examples of Schadenfreude I have ever seen in my entire life. And it was with this woman I shared a room with when I was in the hospital. So a little bit of background. In 2024, I ended up in the hospital for a very serious infection. I had to be on intravenous antibiotics. And so what that means is that around the clock, the nurses would come in and they would be checking, you know, does she have the liquid, like just the liquids, because I also had to be on IV fluids, or does she have the antibiotics? Have they run out? Do they need changing, etc.? So I was just always hooked up to this intravenous machine around the clock. And so they put me somewhere where I was sharing a room with two little old ladies. One little old lady, perfectly fine. She was lovely. The other little old lady, wow. So I go into this room and I have this sort of IV pole with the bag hanging on it that I have to bring with me absolutely everywhere. If I have to go pee, gotta bring it with me. I have to, go to have a bath, gotta bring it with me. The thing about intravenous machines is that they beep sometimes. They just do that. They'll decide that there's like a bubble in the line, or they'll decide that something is like not working properly, or they'll run out. If they run out of the fluid, they will beep to let the nurse know that they have to come and change the bag of fluid. And so this woman, I never saw her face for like the first day and a half, 2 days that I was in the room with her, because she always had the curtains drawn. But she was like this really old lady, and she basically would just swear at me and shout at me. So I would be like doing, I don't know what, and she would try to be sleeping or something, which like I get, when you're sleeping, you want it to be quiet, but my antibiotics or whatever would run out, the machine would beep to signal the nurse to come and change it, and she would just shout like, "Would you turn that damn thing off?" or whatever. And then one day she just shouts, "Oh, for shit's sake, turn that fucking thing off!" And just like, she would shout and swear at me all the time. And she never spoke to me otherwise. She never even I never saw her face, nothing. And so this was my only point of reference for this lady. Then at a certain point, she had a son and a daughter and so on that they would come in and visit her. And when they did, she would say the most incredibly and in full voice, the most incredibly rude things about me. Like one day her daughter comes in to visit her and she's like, "So is I don't know, Mildred still on the next bench?" She's like, "Well, does Mildred weigh 400 pounds?" Which one, that is not what I weigh. I haven't told you what I weigh. So she's just pulling a number out of her butt. But two, she could have just said no, right? She didn't have to make that comment. She could have just been like, "Nope, there's a new person there," right? So anyway, just She would always be making these snipes. Anyway, she was just this awful, awful woman. The part where the Schadenfreude came in, because I was never mean to her. I never shouted back at her. She would swear at me. I would just kind of laugh under my breath. I'd be like, what is wrong with this woman? Like, she's so awful. One day, she had, as I say, a son and a daughter who would come and visit her, and her daughter came in to visit her. She was talking to her mother, and she, said something that, her brother had done that she didn't approve of. And she says, Ma, you shouldn't have spoiled him so much growing up. I think he should have heard the word no more often. You should have told him no more often, because then he wouldn't have turned out this way, And the old lady says, well, I don't think he turned out that bad. What are you even talking about? And the daughter says, and I quote, "Are you serious? Who fucks their stepmom?" I was just sitting there and I had to kind of just to not burst out loud, because I didn't want to embarrass the daughter, right? She's an innocent bystander. I didn't want to embarrass the daughter, so I didn't laugh out loud, but oh my God. What a mortifying thing for someone to learn about your family. And I just remember having this overwhelming feeling of, oh my God, I can't wait until he gets here so I can tell him what I just heard. Because this awful lady raised this just clearly kind of delinquent child who just has a kind of perverse relationship with his stepmother. And anyway, oh man, I got a really good laugh out of that. That was my little case of Schadenfreude when I was in the hospital, and I was next to possibly the worst roommate I've ever had in the hospital, out of the hospital ever. She was terrible. Anyway, so that was my little story. It's just gonna be a short and sweet series. We're gonna do just a quick story in each one. I hope that one was fun or entertaining or interesting or whatever. Next week, we'll be back to our regular programming of possibly a reaction, possibly answering sort of a concept or a question or something, because I haven't done a lot of those for a while. So we'll see if I can put one of those together. They take a little bit more time. But yeah, I'm really glad that you joined me today. I appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. We are still trying to get me to 100 subscribers, so I appreciate your help with that. If we get me to 100 subscribers, I'm going to do something very, very special to be determined. You can help me determine that by putting in the comments what you think that should be. That's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye for now.